Hello, welcome to this week's How's the Market, Pensacola. Well, we had an exciting weekend. Astronauts actually decided to show up. SpaceX had a splashdown. First time that a spaceship has splashed down into the water since 1975, and it all happened on my birthday week. That's interesting. Anyways, I did find one thing was interesting. Elon Musk actually put out there, he said, the capsule is going to travel from New Zealand to Florida in under 37 minutes. Yeah, I want to know how I can get to New Zealand in 37 minutes, but I guess that means I have to go to space, and I'm just not even fond of flying, much less going to space. So, anyways, take a look.
SplashDown.
We have visual confirmation for SplashDown.
Today was a big day. It was a big day for our nation. It was a big day for NASA, for human spaceflight, for SpaceX, and for our international partners.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. It was kind of cool. We had a lot of people out at the beach hoping to see something. Some boaters actually did a little close to the splash site, and I know that NASA's not real happy about that. But, well, we don't get too much excitement like that around these here parts every once in a while. We're going to take advantage of it. But, hey, I'm not here to talk about spaceships, astronauts, Martians, or any of that stuff. We're going to talk about real estate. Let's go. All right, for those of you who have never watched this show, I always start the show off with this particular slide. This slide says if we have between 6 and 7 months worth of inventory, we have a neutral market. If we have greater than 7 months worth of inventory, we have a buyer's market. If we have less than 6 months, we have a seller's market. What the slide does not say is that less than 3 months is considered a hyper seller's market. Greater than 9 months is considered a hyper buyer's market. We have seen both of those over the last few years. And all the different price points. I do all this to give you a baseline because I'm going to show you what the price points are listed and how many months inventory there are in each price point in both Escambia and Santa Rosa County. So let's take a look this week. We're going to start with Escambia County. Looks like just like last week, everything under $500,000 is a hyper seller's market. If you're looking at the screen, on the left is your price range. On the right, these numbers that are colored are your month's inventory. So everything under everything under $450,000 is a hyper seller's market. It looks like 450 to 500 has bumped up from a hyper seller's to a seller's. Does that mean it's still, we've moved to a buyer's market and we can make ridiculous offers? Probably not. Probably not. It's still a seller's market there. But one thing I want you to notice is the 550 to 600 mark in Escambia County. It's almost a hyper buyer's. So see, not all price points in our area are seller's markets or hyper seller's markets. That's why I do this show, so you can see what's what. 550 to 600 is almost a hyper buyer's, but it's definitely a buyer's market. There's just not much of an appetite there. We've got 23 properties active. 600 to 700 goes back down to a seller's market, not a hyper seller's, but to a seller's. And 700 plus, the luxury in Escambia County has now gone back into a buyer's market. If we looked last week, that was actually a neutral market. We've picked up a little bit of an inventory, and there's not as much appetite there just yet. I got a couple of luxury properties. There's just not much of an appetite there. So that is back to a buyer's market. Not a hyper buyer's market, but definitely a buyer's market. Let's go take a look at Santa Rosa County, see how we're looking there. Everything under 550 is a hyper seller's market. 550 to 600 was a pocket in Escambia County where it bumped way up to the buyer's market, almost hyper buyers. It's bumped up here to just a sellers. So it's not a hyper sellers, it's just a seller's market in Santa Rosa County. 600 to 650 back down to a hyper sellers. 650 to 700 looks like we're to sellers, but almost neutral. And 700 plus, the luxury in Santa Rosa County, is considered a neutral market. So this first week of August 2020, there is not a buyer's market price point anywhere in Santa Rosa County. So what does that mean as a buyer? Well, that means that you're probably going to have to make strong offers. I heard a story this past week. It was interesting because it was, forget the numbers, all right? The numbers are much bigger than what most clients that are watching the show are working with. But I heard a story. It was a guy who had a syndication and was trying to buy an apartment complex, small apartment complex in Dallas. And it was $6 million. And they had, he said 16 offers on the property. There were 16 offers on this property. The top 8 were then allowed to move to round 2. Okay, and then they get to go to the highest and best. They were invited to do a highest and best offer. And his offer was the highest. His offer was the highest. He beat the next offer by $50,000. Okay, but he lost. Now get this. In his offer, he made an earnest money deposit or a down payment, whatever you want to call it, of $100,000. Again, forget the numbers. You can scale these down. Okay, he made an offer of $100,000, and he made that offer to go hard day one. Now, Shane, what does that mean? That means that no matter what, if he signs that contract and the seller signed that contract, deposited that money, if he walked away for any reason, he's leaving that $100,000. The seller gets that $100,000. That's strong. Do I recommend a lot of my residential buyers do that? No. Are there some that have? Yeah. Because they're trying to make the terms of the contract more attractable. So it's not always about price. The person that actually won the contract, bid $50,000 under this guy. So they took $50,000 less. But get this, their earnest money deposit was $250,000. So $150,000 more. And again, it went hard day one. So if they walk away, they get to keep the $250,000. Now, I know some of you are thinking, why in the world would someone take $50,000 less for their property if they, just to have the security of $250,000 in earnest money deposit if they walk? There's a lot of reasons why. I have a client right now I'm working with that the person put $1,000 down because it was a VA loan, waited until the 13th and a half day. It was a 14-day inspection. Waited till the 13th and a half hour, right? We were 2 hours before that and sent a cancellation. Now, they said because they didn't like the survey of the backyard, that the lot was there, that it was too close to the house. The survey has been in the MLS the entire time. But they put us under contract, took us off. We had to turn down another offer because we were under contract with this person. And then at the very last minute, canceled. So guess what they wanted when it come time for the next offer? They wanted more earnest money deposit and they wanted less of an inspection period. And it made sense. So when I say all this to say that, look, if you look at these numbers here, that we're hyper sellers markets, it's not always just about price. You need to find out what the motivation is that someone really is interested in. Are they interested in more earnest money deposit? The guy that told that story that said he lost it, he said, in all honesty, they told us they were interested in earnest money deposit. And our original earnest money deposit was $50,000. We doubled it to $100,000. We lost it at $250,000, but we thought we would make it up in price. They decided to turn down the extra $50,000 for the apartment complex. Okay, it is what it is. But you need to understand, sometimes shortening your inspection periods, sometimes upping your earnest money deposit, sometimes having an additional earnest money deposit. I've seen that happen a lot where, listen, I'm going to put $1,000 down because I'm getting a loan, but in 10 days, when my inspection period is up, I'm going to put down another $2,500 and I'm going to make that non-refundable for any reason. Well, now that's a strong offer. That's a strong offer on a $200,000 house or $150,000 house. And if you look, what is Santa Rosa County? $150,000, not even a month's inventory. Everything under $250,000. Well, I guess $200,000 to $250,000 is 1.1 months. But everything under $200,000 is not even a month's inventory. So you've got to make your offer strong, not just price. That also means that if they're listed at $200,000 and you think it's worth that, don't come in at $180,000. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. To the sellers, that means that you can push this a little bit. I got a new listing coming up right now in the next couple of weeks. When we looked at it, it was slightly under, but we're pushing it a little because we know we're in this price point. We know we're in this price point and there is nothing available. So you can push it. You just can't push it too far because remember, the appraisal has to still be justified. So if it's really worth 200 and we go to 210, well, there's some appreciation arguments I can make to an appraiser. If it's really worth 200 and we go to 300, I can't make that much. There's just not that much of an adjustment we can make to the appraiser. So there are strategies for each price point. There are strategies for each market. If there is a hyper buyer's market, there's a seller strategy to get the most out of it. But you also have to understand it's a hyper buyer's market. Right now, with interest rates in the 2s, are you kidding me? That's what's really kind of driving this hyper seller's market. That and the little very, very, very inventory. There's just not much inventory. That's our problem. So beware. I've been saying this every week. Beware the news saying that we see a 200% increase in inventory. We're up 200% in housing. So housing crash has happened. I'm sorry, already starting to see them on YouTube. Housing crash 2021. Shut up. What you're doing is you're inferring because of all the forbearance that everybody's going to go into foreclosure. And that's just not the case. Not this round. Will we see some? Sure. Is it going to be many? Probably not. In our area, I think a lot of this is going to be national news. So you'll see Los Angeles, New York City, Seattle, because there's a migration out of those cities now that we've learned through COVID that we can do a lot of this remotely. Why would someone want to live way, way up north where it snows a whole lot when they can live at the beach? So I think our area is probably going to continue to have an inventory problem because people are going to be moving to smaller communities, mid-sized communities, out of the bigger cities. And I think Florida is just going to want, we've got too many of those, and our area is definitely one of them. All right. That's all I got for you this week. Thanks for watching. Have a great week.
I'm a man on a mission.
My mission is to help people break through all the noise out there. And
Don't need no permission.
I want to help you get to actual truth. Don't you just want the truth?